All right, what's up everybody? Out here on a pretty chilly day, but it's beautiful. Just really nice. Looking forward to this half marathon trail effort. Still running in my Nike Trail 2 GTXs to continue looking at those. Hope you're enjoying your Saturday afternoon. Catch up with you in a little bit. So it's been probably about a month and a half since I've been up here in Germantown, and man, you kind of forget just how challenging these hills are. They're really hard and great training, but I'm gonna have to get used to them again for sure. So we're just about done with our half marathon trail run today, and definitely lost a little fitness. But this was great. It's a good wake-up call, and just a gorgeous day. So, you know, Cruel Jewel training begins once again, 2021 version, or Mohican 100, or both, we'll see. But for now, it's the Cruel Jewel 100. I'm now, I think, 65th on the waiting list. So that's probably not gonna happen, but I figure if I train hard for the Cruel Jewel in May, then I'll be definitely ready for the Mohican 100 in June. So that's my theory, and we will see you later on in the basement. Hey, what's up? It's Dan the Ultra Dad here for a review tonight, and the big question is, did my Coros Apex watch last for 1,500 miles? The answer is yes, and it's really a big yes. In this video, I'll be showing you how the Coros Apex has done over the past 1,500 miles, and while I'll be using mine for many months to come. What's up, everybody? Again, hope you enjoyed my trail run today. It was a pretty day here in Ohio. Temperatures in the 30s, but the sun was out, so that was the most important thing, and really enjoyed my run. Before we start tonight, I just want to note that I purchased the Coros Apex watch that I'm using in this video with my own money, and my opinions about the Coros Apex in this review are my own and no one else's. Also, before we start, hit the subscribe button if you find my content interesting and useful. I like all things long distance running, from gear reviews to training videos to race videos. I'm a runner in my 40s and I like a challenge. So join the fun, hit the subscribe button, like the videos, and hit that bell notification so that you don't miss a thing. Now, let's get into the review. The Coros Apex is a GPS fitness watch. Coros has competitors like Garmin, Suunto, Polar, even the Apple Watch is a competitor. There are several things about the Coros Apex that set it apart from these other brands. In the next few minutes, I'll be telling you each of them. Before we do, let's review what all these GPS brands have in common. All of them provide some basic metrics. First of all, they provide GPS tracking. This tracks your movement through satellites and determines how far you've gone and what your pace is. All of them also have barometric altimeters. These altimeters determine what your elevation gain is or your vertical gain during a set activity. All of these brands also give you tracking of your cadence and your steps. So those are some of the features that each of these brands hold in common. What I'm going to talk about next is how the Coros Apex does better than those brands, setting it apart and above the rest. Before we keep going though, I want to mention I've already done a review of the Coros Apex. I'll link it in the upper right hand corner of this video if you're interested in watching it. Now, how does the Coros Apex exceed the other brands, I think, in the marketplace of GPS watches today? For one, The Coros Apex is the biggest bang for your buck that you can get in the GPS watch marketplace these days. I own the 46mm Coros Apex, which right now on Amazon is $350. However, there is a 42mm variant with a slightly smaller battery that's $300. If you compare this to the prices of Garmin, especially Polar, Suunto, all of their main watches are much more expensive than that. The Coros Apex also provides a number of multi-sport features. This is probably something I should have mentioned earlier because a lot of the watches have that as well, but I think it is nice to mention. The third thing that's important to mention about the Coros Apex is their smartwatch app that they have. While not the most complicated app, its simplicity really makes it easy to follow, and I've really enjoyed using it. Some other companies, their apps have so much information, it's really hard to figure out what you want to actually see. And the Coros app does not have that problem. It's not too simple, but it makes it easy to follow, and you get the information that you want. Another really big deal with the Coros Apex is the fact that it very quickly acquires all satellites for GPS tracking. That's not an issue like with some other watches that you're sitting around waiting. How long is it going to take? That's not a problem with the Coros Apex. But most importantly, all Coros watches, including the Apex, connect to Strava almost instantaneously after your activity. This is something that many friends of mine and athletes have a problem with other watches, and be very frustrating to get their information and their runs to upload to Strava. Coros has figured it out. It's very quick. It makes your life much easier. But possibly the most important aspect of the Coros brand and the Coros Apex is the battery life. This is where Coros as a company has completely wiped out all competition, including that from Garmin, Polar, Suunto, pretty much any other brand you can think of. Most importantly, the Apple Watch. Coros has figured out in their software some way to make their batteries last longer than every brand on the marketplace. And this is a huge factor in why you would want to purchase the Coros Apex. In particular, the Apex itself, I believe, lasts between 30 and 35 hours in constant GPS tracking mode. I can attest to this because I ran a 100-miler back in October, and only at hour 32 did it finally die, and I didn't have to charge it once during the entire race. But it gets even better. If you want it to last longer, you can put it in Ultramax mode. Ultramax mode is the mode in which every 2 minutes it keeps track of your GPS position for 30 seconds. In Ultramax mode, the Coros Apex will last 100 hours. That's insane. We're finally back to the reason I posted this video, and that is, how has it done after 1,500 miles and around 450 days? And I must say, really, it hasn't changed at all. It still is doing exactly what it did before. A lot of times with electronics and some watches, you'll see battery life degrade and get worse. The battery life has not degraded at all. It's still the same watch that I can wear for 3 weeks without charging it, all while working out and using the GPS functionality. So it's not just like I'm putting it on my wrist and seeing how long it'll last. I'm using the GPS, and it still lasts for 3 weeks. And that really can't be understated, the benefit of having a watch like that. You know, especially for me, you know, I just don't like having to charge my watch every night like I did with the Apple Watch. I don't like any of the other brands either, where, you know, it may go for a week, but I've kind of, at that point, I've kind of forgotten, and then I realize suddenly I have to charge it. With the Coros, you really do forget about it, but it lasts so long that it's not an issue. That's the real reason that I own this watch still. And, you know, a lot of the screens and everything, as you've seen, they're pretty simple, but they're really all I need. You know, if you want a smartwatch, then maybe you do need to charge it every night and get an Apple Watch. Or if you need topographical maps, then maybe you need a Garmin, but I just don't. You know, I go run on trails I'm familiar with. I wish I had mountains nearby where I might need a topographical map. It does have breadcrumbing, so it has some mapping functionality if you want to upload a map. It doesn't have the actual topographical map on it, but you know, all these things, these fancy things that other watches will provide for you for an additional, you know, $700 to $800 or more, I just don't need that. You know, this watch is really amazing, and you know, there's been no problems. I'm still in love with it, and I'd highly recommend it to anybody who needs a GPS watch that works well, gives you what you need, and it's just a really nice tool that I'll be keeping, and I'll be keeping for months to come. Maybe I'll use other watches you might see to test them out, hopefully, but this will be the watch that I remember as really changing my opinion on GPS watches. So I hope you found this review interesting. I hope you found it useful. Thanks again for watching the entire video, and if you did like this video, go ahead and hit the like button. It does help the channel. I'd love to have you subscribe to the channel as well for more videos, and if you have any questions, definitely leave comments. I'd love to answer them. Have a great weekend. See you in the next one.